Faith is reaching out. Faith is reaching out sometimes when we know enough to reach without any hesitation. But faith is also reaching out when we don't know. Faith is reaching out in a place and in a direction that we believe to be of God and right. But faith always is a sense of reaching beyond ourselves, recognizing that what we have in ourselves for this particular circumstance or this particular event is not sufficient. And so we reach beyond ourselves, sometimes to friends, sometimes to physicians, sometimes to medicine. But we do well to reach toward God, because there is in that reaching a kind of blessing that heals and makes us whole. It's kind of interesting because, there's a lot of tension in a family when a new baby is being born. And so Reese is now 2 years old. And they're very concerned about Reese that she's not speaking a whole lot. What I've found about Reese is she speaks when she feels like it and says what she wants. But anyway, they brought her into the room before baby got there. And she saw me. And she looked at me for a long time and said, "Hi, Papa." And I want you to know those 2 words to me were holy and were sacred words, Don't ever apologize when your life in faith reaches beyond your own initiative, beyond your own resource, beyond your own self. Because that's what God is all about. God is present, God is able, God is willing, and God wants to help. I've got to tell you this. I didn't always know about a God like that. A lot of us have probably got some other visions and versions of the divine person. But the kind of God that stands ready, that is anxious and willing to be of help to us, is the kind of God that Jesus has made known. And that's why Jesus means so much to us. When we reach out, we're reaching out to the Father who runs to greet us before we make the repentance speech. The kind of God that recognizes when one of the sheep is lost. The kind of God that rejoices in whatever valuable loss is found. It's a beautiful experience for God to be able to not only us to reach out to God, but God to reach back to us. I very often think of that painting. Is it Michelangelo with the finger pointing down and the other finger pointing up? It's the attempt in the reach to be touched. Faith reaching out, but the experience of faith being touched is pretty important. I'm touched very often by the choir. I'm touched this morning by Deborah's rendering of the Lord's Prayer. I'm touched by many of you getting up and getting out on a rainy day and saying, we're going to go to church, and we're going to worship God, and we're going to be together. There is the kind of touch that makes the difference. I was doing a little revival, interesting revival, at Chula, Mississippi. We no longer have a church there. That's how successful my revival was. It did close 25 years after I left. But it was one of the first women pastors that was at that church. And there was a guy that they introduced me to named Willie Frank Waterup. And Willie Frank has since gone on to glory. But he loved to sing with his guitar. And that's when this was just beginning to appear in churches, people singing with their guitar, And he sang, he touched me, and I had not heard that song before. And the power of the song and all the joy that floods my soul was not just the song being sung, was the fact that Willie Frank was crying profusely. I mean, tears down his cheeks, tears all over the guitar. And when it was all over and done, I said, what was going on? I said, you were crying, and it seemed to me that you were really caught up in the song. And he said, no, it was not the song. It was the fact that after I had messed my life up totally and completely, in almost every way imaginable, and I'm not going to go into detail, Jesus touched me, and he made me whole. He said, I'm singing this song to me, but I'm singing this song for every other human being that needs to understand that Jesus Christ wants to touch your soul and make it whole. And that's good news. That's what the gospel is all about. Being touched. Every now and then somebody will be touched by a sermon. Every now and then somebody will be touched by a thought. I ran into this one this morning getting ready for church. The first demand of love is to listen. Ooh. Sometimes we're ready to speak, or quick to speak, and slow to listen. But you know, I was on the way in this morning, just stopped by John's office and sharing a little bit of some of my difficulties and some of my challenges and some of my grief. And his little forehead is all frowned up. What do you call it? You know, furrowed up. Thank you. Furrowed up with concern. You know, and in having been heard, I was strengthened. I just want you to know that you have a God who listens, a God who hears, and a God who truly cares. I had a dream a long time ago. I had been reading all of those passages about the lepers in the scripture. And I had a dream that I was a leper, badly disfigured. And I was in a little village, and I was walking down the street, and Jesus came around the corner. And he was walking toward me, and I knew my place. And that was to be sure that I was on the other side of the street. So I crossed over, and so did Jesus. And he kept on walking toward me, so I thought I should warn him. And so I said, unclean. And he kept walking toward me. And I said, I'm unclean. Don't you understand? And walking toward me, he continued. And finally, even more loud than before, I began to say, I'm unclean, but before I could finish it, he reached out and touched my disfigured face. And I was made whole. Interesting, isn't it? That there is a God that sent a son who wants to heal our most difficult and utmost diseases, whatever their nature, whatever their kind. I just hope and pray that each one of us, in our own personal experience, can have more than one story to tell about how we were indeed touched by grace, indeed touched by forgiveness, indeed touched by love, indeed touched by Jesus. Blessed be his name. Amen. Let's pray. Our Father, like I said a moment ago, the choir sure is cloudy out there. Sometimes our world feels like it's all cloudy. Help us always to remember to know and to reach out toward the sun that shines on the other side of every cloud, and the Son of God that stands ready not only to receive our reaching toward him, but who stands ready to reach toward us and to touch us, to make us whole and clean again. In his name we ask our prayer. Amen. Amen. This morning it is First Sunday of Communion.